Hello, welcome to another training video. So this video is the fourth video in a series of videos about the intake certification workflow. So right now we are taking a look at this fourth step, which would be the caseworker reviews the intake data in Site Manager. So in the last video we explored this step. So we had just submitted a intake certification application within RentCafe, submitted it in RentCafe, and now the caseworker is going to need to review it in Site Manager. So let's go ahead and go to Site Manager. So we're going to go ahead and log in. Site Manager can be reached by typing in, let's see, okay, so hang on a second here. So Site Manager, you should be able to get to Site Manager by going to this URL address here, sitemanager.rentcafe.com/site manager/login.aspx. So once you get there, you'll see the login screen where you can put in your credentials and then click on the login button. All right, so let's go ahead and move forward here. All right, so what we're going to do now is once we log in, let's make sure that we click on the compliance menu and we'll land on the household search page. So now what we want to do is we know that there is a intake application out there under Tony Stark. So here, what I put in under last time, I put in Stark, and I put in Tony for first name. And if I click on the find button, I should be able to find it. But let's take a look at some of these other filters here. Let's make sure, and I know that Tony is in the wait property. Actually, it's the wait test property since this is a test environment here. So he would be under the wait test property. However, I've selected everything. You can select everything by checking on check all. You can uncheck all, and then find different properties that you want to select individually. Individually, but I just said check all. Status. I know that this is going to be. It should be a pending status. This is the status of the intake application. So once they submit it, the application, that is, the applicant submits the intake application, it goes from initiated to pending. Okay. So once that application is fine, it's complete, the caseworker will go ahead and forward that over to Yardi, and the status becomes a submitted. If there's issues with the application, the caseworker will designate it as incomplete, and that's what that here is, this particular status, incomplete. And then of course the applicant will go ahead and have to work on it and get that updated and resolve any of those issues. But let's go ahead. You can look for email address. You can look for a particular caseworker if you know the caseworker. You can look up any of these items here that you see on this page. These are all the filters that you can narrow your results on. So right now we're just going to leave it on last name Stark, first name Tony, and we should be able to find our record. And there he is, Tony Stark. So in order to access that particular application, we're going to go ahead and click on it. Okay, yes, because it says intake certification, and then you have more information regarding this particular application. Date initiated, due date, property name. Okay, let's go ahead and click on this application to open it up. We'll click on the first name there. I'm sorry, the applicant name. So here we have the entire application. Here is just some information regarding the application, the household name, registration code, phone number, email address, all these other items here that help identify the application. You've got all these tabs here that basically mirror all the steps that are within the application process within RentCafe. Here we have the application tab that has information regarding the application. But you have all these other tabs here like members, you have income, all these other items out there that were actually steps that were in that intake certification process or intake workflow process out there in RentCafe. Signed documents, errors and alerts. Notes is a new tab. The audit log is a new piece of information within this process. We have all verifications. This basically is all the documents needed for verifications of all of your different items that need to be verified, such as income, assets, places of employment, and that's pretty much it regarding all the major items on this particular application, and they being all these tabs that you see here. So let's go ahead and start with the application. Here in the application, you've got the current address. You can drill down and view more information about that current address, and that's you can see that in the address information form. So that's all here. Go ahead and close it out by clicking on the X in the upper right hand corner. Let me show you the more interesting thing that you can do on this application. That would be to compare the information on the application with the data that is already in Yardi, and you can do that by comparing it to the FDI screen. Okay, so you have the application data here, and then you have what's in the FDI screen. So there's not much information in Yardi because they're basically a fresh applicant, so there's almost nothing here in Yardi. So all the information is basically in the application right there. Okay, gonna close that. Let's go ahead and compare it to the 5.8. The 5.8 is going to be empty because there's no 5.8 information out there in Yardi because there was never a 5.8 generated at this point because this person is brand new. So that's what the system basically tells us. It says there is no information. Okay, say okay to that. Let's look at the members tab. Here we have the members tab. We can come in and edit the particular household member. We can update it, or we can just view it here if you like. And that's pretty much all that tab does. See, it's pretty simple. Incomes. So this is all the income that was on the application that the applicant had entered in. Here we have 3 sources of income. and we can edit or view them here by clicking on these buttons. Let's go ahead and look at Pepper Stark's uh, employment information. Okay, so we can update it and then save it, or we can close it out. And you can do the same thing for the other two sources of income. All right, let's look at assets. Assets is basically the assets for the household that had been entered in on the application. So here we have a bank account. We can take a look at that and update it. And let's hang on for the information. Sometimes it takes a minute. Okay, and here is the information regarding this particular asset. It's a checking account. It's a Wells Fargo. It's in the amount of $1,200. And we have some interest. Okay, so we can go ahead and close that. We can also add notes here if you like, but we'll get to that later. It's a whole other kind of it's another whole other task that I'm going to cover later in just a few minutes. But you can also add notes and attach it to this particular um, asset item. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to expenses. There's no expenses. However, if there were expenses that were attached to this particular household, they would be listed here. Let's go ahead and look at the Documents tab. Here we're going to have several documents that we uploaded or that the applicant had uploaded within RentCafe, and we can view them here. We can manage them here. We can upload more documents. We can view them. We can delete them. We can we do here? We can edit. Yeah, we can decide if we want to go ahead and send it to Voyager or not send it. Prevent applicant from deleting. Manager view only. We can do those items. Okay, let's go ahead and view this document. Okay, this was a test document and it was basically the image of the American flag. So that's what that looks like. I think this is the American flag 2, document 2. Cash, let's look at that. It's probably the American flag as well. Bank statement, let's view that. Same thing. Okay, what's this? This is a required document 2. Close that. Okay, so that's basically how that particular tab works and the grid within that Documents tab. If you want to print out all those documents, you can click here. Okay, but let's go ahead and move on to signed documents. And these are, again, the summary documents or the required documents that the family or applicant had to sign within RentCafe when they went ahead and submitted the application. I'm going to go ahead and show you that document here. These are documents that, again, were electronically signed when the family did that particular step and submitted the application online. So here you can see that document. This is the summary document. Here you can see the signatures of all the adult family members in the household. Here is the authorization for release information, Privacy Act notice. That would be the HUD 9886. Here is the signatures for that document. Here you have the debts owed to public housing agencies and terminations form. Here you have the signatures for that. You have the admission EIV screening form. You have the signatures there for that. You have more documents. What is this? Notification of HUD allowable deductions. You have the VAWA form. You have all the other required documents in this process. Certification of no out-of-pocket medical expenses. Here are the signatures. Okay, so let's go ahead and close that up. And you could do the same for all these different electronic packets that are attached to the application. Here we have the countersign functionality. So if you're the caseworker and you need to countersign these documents, you can go ahead and do that here. Let's go ahead and click on here to sign. Okay. So now if you need to sign this document, let's click on next. You can sign that here. Here under where it says HA representative signature and date. If you need to sign it there, you can. And here as well, Housing Authority representative. And we will click on the sign and complete button to finish countersigning. And we'll need to do that wherever it requires us to do so. Looks like it did it for both documents when I did that one particular action item. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the next tab, which is the errors and alerts tab. So it just says here there's no errors and that we have the applicant had confirmed that they had entered in all of their incomes, assets, and expenses to this application. So that's all that means. Here we have notes. So this is an important piece of the process. So what we have here is a way to contact and correspond to the family. We can tell them, hey, we're missing some information, or hey, can you attach maybe an extra bank statement, or maybe we have received a bank statement that was unreadable. Maybe we would like them to upload another bank statement. Perhaps we need a Social Security card copy, a copy of that. We can request that here via the notes. I'm going to go ahead and start notes right here. So we'll go to the top here and we'll say this note is regarding employment, and we'll say that we need another paycheck stub. Okay, so we're going to allow the applicant to see the note. We're going to pin the note. We're going to send an email to the applicant, and we'll fill this out accordingly. Okay, so here I've completed my notes form. So we are sending a note, and it's regarding, in this case, it's regarding income number 3, Pepper Stark's employment. So we're requesting that. We're going to change that to Pepper Stark's employment need paycheck stub. Let's say we need another. Okay, so that's my email signature. We're going to CC somebody else, another staff member, email from myself, and that should do it. We're going to put in a small message here so that the family knows to upload another paycheck stub into RentCafe because the one that we have now is unreadable. So I'm going to go ahead and send that off. and they should get an email regarding that. Okay, so here's our note right here. Okay, we're on the Notes tab. And so they should get an email, and we'll take a look and see if we can grab that email. Also, they should get a message within RentCafe so that they can go ahead and upload that paycheck stub that we required. So let's go ahead and log into RentCafe and see if we can check out that email. Okay, so I found that email. Okay, and it says, Dear Tony, hello Mr. Stark. We need another paycheck stub for Pepper Stark. The one that we have now is unreadable. Please upload to RentCafe. Okay, so there's what I need to do. So I'll need to go into RentCafe and go ahead and upload that document. So I'll go ahead and log in as Mr. Stark, and here we have a message for Mr. Stark, and it's basically the notes that we wrote him from Site Manager. So it just says that we need a paycheck stub for Pepper. Please upload it to RentCafe. Thank you. So we'll go ahead and close that. Let's go ahead and go to our certifications where we may upload another document. Okay, so we'll click on Upload Documents. Here is the message again saying that we need that paycheck stub. So we're going to close that. And we can go ahead and click on Upload. And we're going to choose a file. We're just going to say it's this one here. We'll just say that that is our paycheck stub. We're going to upload it. Okay. All right. And I think that's about it. Let's go ahead and check our uploaded documents again. Okay, so that document that we uploaded should be this one right here. Okay. Okay, so that should be it. I think that's all we need to do on this end. Let's go ahead and go back to Site Manager. So we'll log out of RentCafe. We'll go to Site Manager. Okay, and we will look at Documents. And we have document 1. So that should be the one that we requested. The time here is 3:15. I have 3:16, so we just requested it, and this is a brand new document that we just uploaded. So this should be it right there. Okay. Let's see. So we have our paycheck stub, our readable paycheck stub. Let's go ahead and look at it. And it's just the American flag again, but that's what for testing purposes, it's the American flag, but that's really our paycheck stub. Okay, so the next thing we can do is take a look at the audit log. Well, let's go back to notes real quick. You can print the notes by clicking on the print notes button. Okay. You can also view your notes as well. And that's it for notes. So let's go to audit log. So here, if we check show detailed view, you'll be able to see every single thing, every single transaction that occurred to this application. So let's see. Here, show detailed view. Okay, so here we have the last, pretty much the last thing we did was we requested um, a paycheck stub through notes. So here we have notes, edited notes. We took a look at document 1 as well. So that was also recorded here. Step change from 48 to 46, sign and submit documents. So this stuff occurred within the RentCafe portal. So yes, I'm sorry. So Tony Stark was in the RentCafe portal. He uploaded the document according to our instructions, and then he basically jumped from the uh, upload page to the sign and submit documents page, which told him he was done with the particular task, basically. So this recorded as well. So this is like a fully detailed audit log that tells you exactly what happened to this particular application. So let's go on to the next tab, and this is basically it's the compliance application, but you can get a virtual look at a particular compliance application as the applicants see it on RentCafe. So let's go ahead and click on the compliance application button, and we can see exactly the intake certification application as they see it in RentCafe. So you can step through it with them. This is very handy if you're perhaps troubleshooting this process with the family online. You can go through it with them. You can tell them exactly what is required of them, and it just kind of allows you to help them step through this process. As you know, this process may be a little difficult for some folks, so this hopefully makes it a little bit easier. So I'm gonna go ahead and close that out. Come back to the application on Site Manager. Okay, you can also change the current step from what it was to maybe let's see, maybe the summary step. So let's see what that does. We'll save the application step. All right, and then we'll go ahead and look to see where they are in that. Well, let's see. We'll go back. Let's go ahead and go to RentCafe. Okay, so here we are in RentCafe, and Site Manager did basically what it said it was going to do. It was going to change the step that they are at in the intake certification. So when I went in to view the certification application in RentCafe, it brought us to this particular step in the process. So again, you can move around the particular certification. And that is pretty much it. Just wanted to go back to RentCafe to show you exactly what that functionality does in Site Manager. Okay, all right, so let's go back to Site Manager. Okay, here we are. Let's go to all verifications. This is the last tab here. So here we have all the verifications within this application. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we have here. View verification documents for, let's say we want to look at the banking information. We can do that. This is the bank statement. We can view that. Okay, again, that is just the image. Okay. So that looks fine. Let's see, we can add another document if we needed to. Let's just say we requested another document, say another bank statement from Wells Fargo. We can go ahead and upload that document. Let's say they emailed it to us. We can upload that document. Let's just call it required document, and we'll upload that. And we'll see what we have here. Yes, we have that second document that we requested, and then they gave it to us via email, and then we uploaded it to our system. So let's go ahead and view that. And that is required document 1, just what we uploaded. So I'll close that out, and we'll go back to Site Manager. So that's fine. Let's just say we wanted to add a note, and maybe we can just say, thank you for sending us or emailing us that bank statement. Okay, so I'm done editing my note. So here again, it's about the bank accounts. Asset 1 for Tony Stark. We want to allow the applicant to see this note as a message when they go into RentCafe. Pin the note, and we want to email the applicant. We also want to CC somebody um, at the housing authority, and we're going to say thank you for that additional bank statement, and that's about it. So we're going to go ahead and save it. So that's going to email them. They'll get that email, and we should be able to attach that note to that particular um, um, asset item. Okay. Okay, so here let's take a look at notes, and we have that. Um, we have that second note here. Okay. So that is the second note that we created and sent off to the family. Whoops, we don't want to add that. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if they got a message. And we'll log into RentCafe. Okay, and here is that particular message from the notes that we created in Site Manager. So remember, we have two notes that we had created in Site Manager, and here they are in RentCafe. Okay, we also should have gotten an email. Right, so we should have gotten an email as well. And here it is. Thank you for that additional bank statement. Okay, so that should be it there. So that's it. So the last thing would be to close out the process, and that would be if we clicked on the Submit to Voyager button, that would send all this information and update the Yardi Voyager database, and that would be it. We would have a full record for Tony Stark and his family in Yardi. Then we may have to do a couple more follow-up things, but that would be basically it for the process. Again, if we wanted to almost completely have them start over, most of the application would be saved, but if we wanted to give this an incomplete status and have them go ahead and basically re-sign all the documents and perhaps maybe re-enter some new income or update some assets or maybe perhaps add some expenses, what we would do is we would have to click on the incomplete status. We would say, yes, I want you to delete all the signature documents. If they do change anything in the application, it will have to be, they'll need to be deleted and regenerated anyway. So that's what we would want to do in this case, and then we're also going to have to give a reason. So we're just going to say user defined reason 1, and we're going to go ahead and click the change status. So that basically kind of resets the application, and we'll go into RentCafe and we'll take a look and see what it does. All right. So it says here we're still in Site Manager. It says current status is incomplete. We'll go into RentCafe. We'll head out to the home page for the user within RentCafe. We'll click on the certifications button. And we can see that the status is incomplete. We'll go ahead and click on continue. Okay, we can close that out. So here, we can go ahead and update any of these steps as we see fit. We can update anywhere. We can go to summary. It'd probably be the best thing to do to go to summary and maybe update from the summary page where everything is all here pretty much at the same time, or all in this one grid, and you've got multiple tabs. You got quick access to everything that you want to perhaps change. We can come into documents. We can upload more documents. We can go to the sign and submit. And what we'll have to do is we'll have to re-sign all of our documents because they had been deleted because we specified that we wanted to delete them. And it will need to be regenerated in order for us to re-sign them digitally. Okay, so that's pretty much it. We've done pretty much everything in our flow chart. Let's go back and look at that flow chart real quick. So this video was basically about this part right here. The caseworker reviews the intake data in Site Manager. But what we did was we threw in all these other steps here. So I showed you what happens or what to do if you wanted to say, yes, the certification is complete. You would want to go ahead and submit the intake certification to Voyager. So you would do that by clicking on the Submit to Voyager button. Remember that right there? Let me show it to you. So you would basically, yes, there's a button here that said Submit to Voyager. And now since the current status is incomplete, it's not there anymore. But you would have just clicked on that to send it to Voyager and your process would have been pretty much complete. Okay. Okay, so going back to the flow chart. So we talked about the notes and we talked about the incomplete status. So what we did towards the end of the video, we went ahead and changed the status of the application to incomplete. And that basically kind of reset the application where it allowed you to go ahead and make changes to the application and then go ahead and re-sign those electronic packets that need to be electronically signed. So when you designate the application to incomplete and say yes, delete those signature documents, it kind of reboots it or resets it to where they have to the family needs to go ahead and work on it, resolve the issues, and resubmit that application. Almost kind of set them back to square one, but not completely. They have most of that application in place. They'll just need to add a few things, maybe update a few things within the application, and then finally re-sign all those documents within that electronic packet. And that's pretty much it. Okay, so they'll do that over and over until they get that application correct, and then finally submit it to Yardi where the process can end. And that is pretty much it. Well, that's been a nice long video, but I think I've covered pretty much everything. Thanks and have a good day.